Okay, are we live?
Yep.
Yes, good to go.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our May meeting. It's almost difficult to remember which month we're in at the moment, but a warm welcome to everyone. And as I understand it, there are no apologies. So we have a full house. So we're on to item 3 and disclosures of members' interests. Are there any? No disclosures of members' interests. Item 4, are there any late items? No late items. Thank you very much. So item 5, the confirmation of the order of the meeting. I have received no suggestions of change. Gary, are we okay for the order of meeting?
Yes, no change there, Your Worship.
Move, Your Worship.
Happy to move, Your Worship.
Or second, whatever.
So moved Councillor Thomas, and I think it was Andrew was second. Is that correct?
Graham.
Graham and
okay.
Bruce.
Okay, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, carried. So we're now on to the minutes of the previous meeting, which I should have. Okay, so that's on page 4 to 10, I think it is. So if I just quickly go through those, I'll keep an eye on the screen as well. Page 4, any issues? 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we go on. Yeah, so then we're on to. Yeah, so that's the minutes. So can I have a mover and seconder to receive the minutes? Move Councillor Coles, Councillor Brown seconds. All those in favour?
Aye.
Contrary, carried. So
Was that just Andrew or was that Lou? Sorry, John?
that was moved, sorry.
Lou?
No, Philip. Philip and Andrew.
Philip and Andrew Brown. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Jenny. Okay, so there's no discussion on those minutes at all. Right, the next item on the agenda is the amendment to the civil defence delegations. Gary, who's handling that?
Oh, let's just pass straight to Wayne Allen, please, Your Worship.
Wayne?
Right, good morning, Your Worship, and good morning to councillors. So this is a pretty straightforward report to you to reflect the resolution made by the Waikato Civil Defence and Emergency Management Group Joint Committee. So the Waikato Joint Committee revisited the topic of controller appointments and delegations in response to the state of national emergency for the COVID-19 event. It was decided that all local controllers and their alternates would be elevated to a Tier 2 status in the Waikato group, which means that a local controller can operate in any local authority area as part of their EOC within the Waikato group. Now, such a move was deemed essential to ensure that there was sustainability and adequate coverage as a group, given the health risks inherent in the current COVID-19 climate. Fortunately, none of the Western Waikato local controllers have fallen ill to COVID-19, so there has not been a need to secure additional local controllers for the COVID-19 response. But that situation could easily have changed very quickly. However, going forward, for any emergency response, it is appropriate to have adequate coverage of controllers for all the EOCs operating in the Waikato. The Civil Defence and Emergency Management Group Joint Committee decision and the recommendations in this report will provide the necessary appointments and delegation coverage going forward. So this resolution has been requested to be passed by all the territorial authorities, councils in the Waikato region, who is represented by the Joint Committee. And Councillor Lou Brown is our Civil Defence and Emergency Management Joint Committee representative, and he may wish to speak further on this matter. But essentially the recommendation is noted in paragraphs 2A, B and C for your decision. That's the report, Your Worship.
Microphone's off.
Perhaps it would be best, through Your Honour, is just to speak to that motion and say that we met on the appoint tier 2 controllers at the Joint Committee meeting, simply as a precautionary process, not knowing quite what we were facing on the 25th of March. As it turned out, as Mr. Allen said, it is not been necessary. However, I'd like to move the motion if possible.
So, Deputy Mayor Liz, I wonder if you could
Yes,
take over
John, yeah.
during until Jim comes. Oh no, Jim's come back now. I
Okay.
think. No, sorry,
No.
Liz, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, hey, thanks Lou for moving that motion. I'm happy to take a seconder. Is there anyone that wants to second that motion?
I'll second it, Liz.
Thank you, Susan.
Susan.
All in favour?
Liz,
Aye.
question. Sorry. Liz, can I have a
Graham.
question, please?
Yes,
Yeah,
certainly.
just to Wayne. Wayne, is this a permanent move from Civil Defence for maybe future things like this, or is this just while this particular COVID lockdown is on?
Right. So yeah, thank you, Councillor Webber. Good question. And this is a permanent move. So the COVID-19 event was, I guess, reflected by the Joint Committee about the adequate coverage and sustainability of controllers across the Waikato region, particularly in a pandemic situation where if a controller did fall ill, you know, they're locked away for 14 odd days, we could take down an EOC with them in terms of having to isolate themselves. So it can result in any further emergency situation, be it a pandemic or other event, where local controllers can come in who are tier 2 local controllers appointed by the group and be represented within any EOC within the Waikato region. So currently there are a number of Western Waikato local controllers that can operate amongst the 3 councils in our area. I also have authority to operate in Waikato district, so there is already some resolutions appointing controllers to operate amongst a number of councils in any event, but this just gives the authority for all local controllers to operate within any territorial authority for any future event.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.
Yeah. So can people hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Sorry, thanks, Liz. Thanks, Wayne. I heard all of that, but I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, so we had a mover and seconder, and that motion's been put. Liz?
Yep, so we had Lou moving it and Susan was seconding it.
Yeah. So did you put the motion?
No, well, we moved it, but we didn't actually get to the end. So if we could, yeah,
Okay.
do that again, perhaps.
Okay, so I'll put that motion, the recommendations A through to C. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. So the next item is the delegations to committees and staff on pages 18.
Wayne, you happy for me to take through this one?
Tony.
So it's Tony's leading this matter.
Okay. Morning, Mayor and councillors. So this is just a bit of a tidy up to the delegations. So I'll take it as read, but just very briefly taking you through the recommendations. So the first one is to appoint Councillors Brown and Gordon, who are accredited commissioners now. Congratulations onto the Red Committee to augment the capacity there to take hearings. Under item C of the recommendation, the first delegation, which is part A, that's a delegation under the Local Government Act. So the reason I'm explaining this is it appears there might be a bit of double up here in the delegations, but there's a reason for it. So the first part is the delegation under the Local Government Act, and there's a tidy up there to the Forest and Rural Fires Act, which no longer applies. The second part, which is Part C, is a delegation under the Resource Management Act. And there is actually a correction under item 3 there. So the wrong strikeout has gone through. So that should read Resource Management Act, hearings and commissioners. Commissioners has been struck out by mistake.
Mhm.
The third delegation under recommendation D is the actual matters that can be heard under the Resource Management Act. So that lists what can be heard. So I just wanted to explain what those recommendations were, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions? Roger?
Tony, much as I do want to be a member of this committee, and I'm really looking forward to it, I have to say I haven't yet completed the course because during level 4, the course was cancelled. It is reprogrammed for July, but perhaps it's not appropriate that this goes through, assuming that I do have the necessary accreditation.
Okay, a suggestion to remedy that, Your Worship, would be under recommendation 2B, would be that Councillor Lou Brown is confirmed and Councillor Gordon is conferred subject to achieving accreditation.
Yeah, happy with that. Thank you, Tony.
Your Worship. Oh, Your Worship, could I say something?
Oh, I think we've lost Jim again. Yes, Bruce, you step in. Happy to.
Tony and Wayne, just a thought from me being part of that for a while and doing some bigger hearings. I think, okay, we've got 6 commissioners. I think it's vitally important, as it's said in their rotation, because in my own personal case, I think I did 2 terms, wasn't used at 1 hearing, so just nearly threw it away. So I think it's vitally important for especially the new commissioners to get experience. If they're not participating in any kind of hearing, they'll lose interest. So I think that's a big one. And from what I hear from talking to other councils, the big numbers, I know it's nice to have a lot of commissioners, but if the big thing is you've got to use them. Some of the ones they said, why have you got so many commissioners on board? So that's a big question. Use them, otherwise you'll lose them.
Yeah, thank you. They're good points and noted those. So we haven't specified. We specified up to 5 members, and I guess that's a management tool that we can apply when we appoint those commissioners. It's I suppose one of the reasons behind having a larger pool is to avoid getting into a bit of a pickle if people are conflicted, so that we have enough commissioners who are accredited who can hear. But those points are taken on. Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Graham here. Just supporting that amendment for Roger, because I know how pedantic they are about having qualified people on there. Congratulations, Lou and Roger, when you get yours. That's good. As a commissioner for 9 years, I just say to you, don't hesitate to go and sit on 2 or 3 regulatory meetings in the public gallery and see how they're run. It is quite different, but you will enjoy it. So when you come onto that panel, you're well versed in the protocols and how things operate.
Yeah, through you. Sure.
Yeah, Roger.
Yeah, Graham, I've already attended 2 by Zoom, so you're right. It is interesting and it's different. But I will commit to attending each one by Zoom until such times as I get the accreditation.
Thanks, Roger. Claire.
Oh yeah, thanks. And I'd just like to say congratulations, yeah, to Roger and Lou. Well, hopefully it all goes through. Yeah, looking forward to working with you. I was going to ask Tony about the proposal to only have 3 of us as a panel for the hearings when we don't need an independent commissioner. Because sort of following up from what Bruce is saying, like, I know when I first got accredited, it was really good to be part of a panel, but not really be expected to be making a lot of contributions. That it's good to be part of the panel when you know you've got more experienced people there. And I just feel it's really important for the new people that they do get the chance to participate. I was wondering whether or not, I think you're using the terminology about it's more efficient and, avoiding unnecessary cost. But I do think we've got to think about how our new commissioners build experience and capability.
Good question. And we do have the flexibility to have hybrid panels. So our pool of commissioners, if you recall back to the appointment of the pool, we've got a range of skills in there. So we've got legal skills, planning skills, tikanga, there's an engineer in there, there's urban designers in there. So certainly we can bring on that range of skills for either resource consents and or plan changes when we need them. And also if requested by an applicant as well. So I think the way the delegations will be set up, we've got that flexibility, but we'll be guided by the preferences of the committee in terms of, I guess, having first option.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Claire?
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Everyone's okay? Joe?
Just to clarify resolution B, I think the idea with putting Roger in there in terms of being appointed to the regulatory committee, that was that if there were things like dog hearings, he could still sit. If we get into the scenario where we've got RMA hearings, there'd be a panel set up, and he, even though he would be on the regulatory committee, he wouldn't be one of the pool of people from the regulatory committee that the chair could select for that hearings panel. So, I mean, you can either amend the resolution B if you want, which means Roger wouldn't be able to, if there were dog hearings and things, sit on the regulatory committee for those, or you could leave it as it is, and it'll just be that if there's an RMA hearing and Marcus as chair is choosing who will sit on that panel, he won't be able to choose Roger until such time as he gets his accreditation.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. We can leave that alone. Roger can be there for the other work, but just not for the for the hearings.
Yeah.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah. Jim, can I just ask something? I highlighted something in the delegation that might not be correct, and that's on page 22 of our agenda, or page 5 of the report. It's the block that starts off pursuant to section 34A subclause 2, and in that top paragraph on the 4th line it says accordingly, and then group manager, district growth and regulatory, and it's part of an earlier sentence, and I don't actually think it should be there at all. It says the planning consultants approved as part of the. Oh, are you going to comment, Tony?
Oh, no, I'm happy to. Can you take us through?
Yeah, so it says, the planning consultants approved, with authority delegated. Okay, and then so all of that authority delegated is in parentheses. Okay, and so then it starts off group manager, district growth and regulatory, which could actually be regulatory services. So it doesn't. I think it's meant to be the planning consultants approved may carry out and undertake the following of the council's functions, and you don't even need that title of the group manager at the end of the parentheses.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping that.
Of course I'm right. Thank
Through
you.
you, Mayor.
Yes, Lou.
Just one other minor point when I was reading the report was on page number 10. Okay, the 3rd point at the top of the page where it says better able to balance skills, knowledge on matters to be heard, including independent commissioners, and then it says stilling with elected members. I presume that would be sitting or operating with. Is that correct, Tony?
Yes, that was an error as well. Thank you.
Okay. Were there any other corrections there from an accuracy perspective? Okay. So if there's nothing else with those changes to tidy up the recommendations A through to G, is everyone comfortable? So can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor St Pierre and Councillor Thomas seconds. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. So the next item is the Mystery Creek Exhibition Centre on page 31. Who's handling that, Gary?
Carl is in the background. He's coming forward now to talk. These are changes brought by the COVID lockdown. Over to you, Carl.
Yeah, good morning, Your Worship and councillors. So one of my shorter reports this morning. Hopefully it makes general sense that in this case, the annual calendar that you've approved previously, the Kart Club haven't been able to use the dates that were allocated to them in April, and have proposed amendments to their calendar to try and get their program back on track, while at the same time complying with the district plan rules. So you've got a revised, sorry, Murphy's Law, something would happen. Basically you've got the previous report there and the calendar that you've approved previously, and then a revised calendar tacked onto the back of that. So effectively they've surrendered, if you like, 16 days on their April calendar, and have replaced those with 15 days spread over June and July, which by my assessment still complies with the rule. So that's the summary there, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, questions, Carl, anyone? Liz?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I mean, obviously it makes complete sense for this to be happening, given the situation. So I'm happy to move the recommendations A and B.
And I'm happy to second, Your Honour.
And seconded Lou Brown. So the only question I've got is, are the neighbours going to be happy with these changes, Carl?
We'll circulate the revisions as we normally do. We haven't sent those to all neighbours in the last couple of years because we've effectively had no interaction from neighbours in relation to the event centre zone. So we generally supply a copy to Waikato District for their information, put a copy on our website, and Mystery Creek make it available. So we've had no feedback over the last couple of years about events in this zone. But at the end of the day, the assessment is that it still complies with the plan. And most of the days are practice days. They're not race days. So there is an argument that they may not even meet the criteria to be considered as noise days, but it just makes sense to have them all summarised in one place. So I'm not anticipating any issues in that respect. And we'll have an opportunity potentially to look at it again if Mystery Creek themselves come back with alternative dates. So obviously field days is not taking place in that calendar as proposed, and they may have some other changes later that we have given them the opportunity to look at once they know what's happening with their schedule.
Okay, thanks, Carl. Roger?
Yeah, Carl, unrelated to the Kart Club, but if you're tidying up the calendar, then of course, unfortunately, Equidays is not going to continue, and Equidays is on the calendar, so it might be wise to take it off at this stage.
Yep, certainly once we hear from Mystery Creek whether these events have been effectively cancelled or postponed, then we'll make arrangements, changes based on that.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a mover and seconder, and I don't think we should change anything on the calendar unless Mystery Creek advise us that it's definitely off, because they may well be looking to put events back onto the onto their program. So have a mover and seconder. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the financial report, which is on page 44 of our agenda. So Ken, I presume.
I'm hoping, yes, I do. I do see Nada there. So yeah, so look, I'll pretty much let Nada and Sarah lead through the report. I guess of important note, and it is highlighted there on page 1, on the first page of the report is that that this report is the first finance report that you've seen that reflects the reforecast budgets. Okay, so so in February we did a full reforecast as per normal. Obviously, the events that occurred in the 2 or 3 weeks following that, it was still pretty fresh on the paper. Basically meant that we had to fully review all of our organisational budgets again. And this, like I say, this is the first finance report that you've seen where that forecast column reflects the impact of COVID-19 or the expected impact of COVID-19. So so look, with that said, I'll hand over to Nada, who'll take you through the report.
Thanks, Ken. Good morning, everyone. So at the moment, we're currently at 81% of the forecast for our income, and the operating expenditure is at 83% for the full year forecast. We have vested assets of 11.8 million to date, which is 91% of the forecast. And we have discovered assets of 402,000 to date. Development reserves and contributions of 4.6 million have been received, which is 75% of the forecast. Finance income is currently at 99% of the current budget. Subsidies and grants are at 54%, and that's due to mainly the delayed timing of road and capital works at the Hanlon Road intersection, and subsequently the NZTA subsidy. Overall gross revenue from the significant activities is at 77%, and the overall gross expenditure is at 82%, and they are generally around the anticipated 83%. Capital expenditure to date is 76 million, which is 71% of the forecast. And with our rates at the moment, there were no arbitrage arrangements within the month of April. And the rate status to date is there's 62,000 outstanding from previous years. There's a balance outstanding of 12.4 million for the current year, which is after the final instalment, which was due 21st of May. And the water rate status, there was 534,000 outstanding, and that also includes 345,000, which is not yet due. And I'll take the rest of the report as being read, and if there's any questions.
Thanks, Nada. Claire, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Nada. The question I have is related to page 47 of our agenda, or page 4 of your report, about community services and facilities, because it mentions that there's been a deferral for new toilet blocks and of 575,000. And I just wondered if you knew which toilet blocks are deferred. I'm particularly interested in Pirongia public toilets.
I think that might have been at Karapiro, but I would have to double check that the whole lot is referring to Karapiro for you.
Yeah, thanks. Because the Pirongia toilets were supposed to go in April, and obviously they've been deferred because of COVID-19. But further on in the report, it talks about external funding for public conveniences has been reduced as well. And I knew that the Pirongia public toilets were getting external funding as well. So that's why I'm a bit, I'd like to just check it out. Thanks.
Hang on a minute, Claire, I think we might have an answer. Debbie raised a hand. I was going to say your finger, but
the Pirongia public toilets, as far as I'm aware, are going to start work in October of this year. Clear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Gary.
Thank you, Bishop. I signed the contracts for those.
Okay. Gary just confirmed that he signed the contract. Graham, you had a comment?
Oh yes, Nada. Good morning, Graham here. What is the rates collection doing with the water outstanding rates, because I know it appears to be sneaking up, and it needs to be managed probably at that lower level a little bit earlier. But I'm just asking the question, where are we at with that?
Yeah, so I can probably answer that, Graham. Collection is as per normal, so that we're still running the same debt collection processes that we always have been. And I think I sent an email to Andrew, who had a query on the rates and the outstanding amounts, and obviously because the rate system is such that we can only run what's outstanding at a point in time, so we can't compare to last year. But I think there was about 2 million outstanding, and the first opportunity we'll get is 31st of May to compare, and last year it was about 1.2 million. So with penalty getting added tomorrow, I don't think we'll be too far out, but it will not be as good as last year, just because of the circumstances and people not being able to afford to pay.
Thank you.
Roger.
Rates outstanding, and just looking at page 12 of your report, the little note that I've got on there. The total owing from prior years, not from last year, but from prior years, has gone up quite incredibly, 26,000 up to 61,000. Is that related to the current economic situation we're finding ourselves, or is there possibly
no,
some historical?
Sorry, through the Mayor, I don't think that was to do with COVID. I sent an email, I think it might have been to Councillor St Pierre a few months ago about what was outstanding. Actually, it might have been to everyone. So there were a number of just properties. It was made up of quite a small number of properties that aren't paying, that we're progressing through the system. So it was not related to COVID.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah. Andrew?
Yeah, just a comment. While 61 from 26 is a big jump, it's actually still a very small number when you look at our total rates bill.
Yeah, thanks for that comment, Andrew. Anyone else have any queries? Yeah, this is going to be a changing landscape, I would imagine, pretty much over the next few months. So we've got to keep an eye on it. So
yeah,
everyone comfortable? Sorry, Sarah.
Through His Worship, yeah, we will get a good idea of where we're at 31st of May, I think. So the next report presented to Finance and Corporate should give us a really good idea of where this payment run anyway is sitting, and how we're looking.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, everyone comfortable? Can I have a mover and seconder then, please?
Yep, happy to move.
Moved Councillor Brown, seconded Councillor Gordon. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. So the next item I have, Gary, is correct, is the resolution to exclude the public. Is that correct? Yep. Yep. Yes. So can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Stolwick and Councillor Thomas. Okay, I'll put that motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried.